Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
All right, everybody. Wanted, dead or alive. Welcome, fellow face-off fans. Yeah. Welcome to the first episode of Season 10, Dead or Alive. Yeah.
Hence the song.
Hence the song. I am your host, Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And today I am joined by two of my favoriteest people in the whole world.
Stop. Hi everybody, I am Alexis Torres. You can find me all over social media at atorres890.
And I am Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over social media at Emma Fyffe.
So I'm super excited about this season. These contestants are amazing. Initial thoughts before we dive in. What are you guys thinking?
You know, and maybe it was just because, I was able to, so Syfy was nice enough to send us some press screeners for the first couple episodes. And so it was really nice to be able to watch it ahead of time and just have some time to process and pause. I feel like maybe it's just a production value, but I feel a lot more emotionally connected to these contestants right off the bat than I feel I have to contestants in past seasons. I feel like for an episode 1, we spent a pretty equal amount of time with each contestant.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Which I like a lot.
Yeah.
Where I feel like previous seasons it has been kind of weighted towards certain contestants from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this one, it was really nice because everybody was on the same level playing field and we got a little bit of everybody's backstory.
Yeah.
And a little bit of why we care about all of these people.
Definitely.
Just from the 2-sentence description that they had for everybody. I'm like, what? You're a mom and you watch Star Wars with your kid? I like you.
Yeah,
You're my favorite.
And it's and I don't know that they haven't done that in past seasons. I just think they've sort of perfected the art now. And so the way that this was edited, it was a lot more coherent.
You can tell that it was 10 years running.
Yeah, exactly,
they got the
right?
map.
That makes more sense. I didn't think about that.
10 seasons in, they got it figured out.
I love it.
I also have to say, just on a personal note, I am currently fulfilling a life goal.
Oh my God, you guys.
And if you're listening on iTunes, go to YouTube just so I can prove I am wearing the same dress as Mackenzie Westmore.
What?
Which, if you've watched our show previous seasons, you know is one of my bucket list items.
And you did it.
Yeah, I don't look as good as Mackenzie, but
Whoa.
I'll take it. It's a close second.
Listen, Mackenzie is not a human, not a regular
she's a goddess.
human. Yeah, she basically is.
She's a goddess amongst
I was
women.
upset that she wasn't on a mountaintop this opening season. She was just next to a theater with a great marquee lighting.
Beautiful marquee, but she wasn't on a mountaintop. She wasn't on a battleship.
I need to, all hail and all praise Mackenzie.
I
I need her on a mountaintop.
I need Mackenzie on the top of Mount Rushmore or something.
Yes.
Just on.
I need Mount Rushmore to have Mackenzie's face added.
Yeah.
And then they can take it off at the end because it's face off.
Face
It'll be great.
off.
Sorry, I went there. I usually don't like puns. She knows
I
this.
gotta say,
I do.
props to you for kicking off the
Got it
show
this
with
time.
puns.
Just this once.
We got
That's it.
Mackenzie dress. We got classic puns. We're ready to rock and roll. So our contestants get thrown right into the mix. There's really no time to process. They get to see. Boom, you're in Los Angeles, and also you're going right into the Spotlight Challenge, which is a really, really cool sci-fi alien bounty hunter.
If anybody saw my tweet, I was literally like, oh my god, effing bounty hunters, we're doing this, guys. Straight up.
I was excited because upon watching it, I knew that Emma would show up in her Boba Fett jacket, preferably with some Boba Fetts, which did not disappoint.
Guys, no. I feel like a lame-o because I was like, oh, Face Off starts next week, so I'm going to shave my Boba Fett shirt for next week. Instead, I'm wearing Darth Vader.
But it works because, you know, they reference Empire Strikes Back.
Absolutely.
Oh, they did, and I was okay with that. But no, she's always decked out.
Both of these Boba Fetts were Christmas presents, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this one was from Elena.
Very nice. I like it.
There you go.
But yeah, I love, since I was a little kid, I have had this weird obsession with Boba Fett. Like, it was when my brother and I would play Monopoly or like Life on Sega, my name was always Boba Fett. Like, I don't know why.
Because you're a badass
exactly,
bounty
hunter.
hunter.
Yeah, totally. I'm a
exactly
badass bounty hunter, like, at heart. I did contemplate wearing my Sabine, her universe top. So this jacket's from her universe. But yeah, I thought about wearing the Sabine top that I have and doing my hair in crazy colors like Sabine, but then I realized I needed to have normal colored hair for work tomorrow. So I probably shouldn't do that just in case it doesn't wash out.
I like the little subtle, the pink.
Yeah, exactly.
Though.
There's just a little pink in there.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep
Face Off pink streak.
exactly.
I like
I'm gonna keep that around whenever I don't have to work at a place that requires normal human hair colors.
Yeah, you could join the crazy hair color bandwagon. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy to ever dye my hair, so it will be this forever.
Well, I think it's great. I'm trying to remember where I felt like I know that you love Boba Fett. I was trying to think of like with Firefly's not exactly bounty hunters,
No, but it is kind of.
Yeah,
and I mean and Firefly certainly is heavily inspired by Cowboy Bebop, which is absolutely about bounty
That's
hunters.
where I was going to get into it. My first, besides Boba Fett, my first love is obviously Spike.
Spike Spiegel, yeah. Oh man.
I'm not.
I just want to be Faye Valentine. Like, just let me be Faye Valentine.
I love
forever.
Faye Valentine, but like Spike is just on a whole different level for me. But like that's where I got my bounty hunter love was him.
Any episode of Face Off 2 that opens with Empire Strikes Back and Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be so good. Whatever they're about to say is gonna be so good. It's gonna be great. So the contestants get paired off into 7 different pairs and choose their bounty hunter, which are these big digital cards that have the name of their bounty hunter, a description of their ship. We see what their ship looks like, and that's pretty much it. We get their whereabouts.
Yeah, I wrote down every single thing that was on those cards. Their whereabouts and stuff. I wrote everything down because I'm a giant nerd, but I
really liked those cards that they made. Like that was some good like prop making.
Yeah,
there.
I wanted to be
nice
part of that
touch.
team that was like, okay, we got to think of a name. We got to figure out what the last thing was. What system are they in?
Yeah,
and
totally.
Stuff. Oh my god, it's so great.
I feel like there is a real missed opportunity for Face Off playing cards.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
Wouldn't that be so cool with different characters on it from different seasons?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be all about it.
Yes. Yeah. No, I want it. Take my money.
So, jumping right in, we had 3 teams that were safe, 2 that were in the top, and 2 that were in the bottom.
Yes.
So let's start with some of the people who were safe. Let's start first with Katie and Katie and Robert.
Yes,
There's Rob and Robert.
Yeah.
I am so in love with both of these people. It is ridiculous.
It's kind of amazing. I love Robert. I was like, yes. We have the German on Face Off.
I loved when he was explaining their bounty hunter, and he was explaining the name, and he's like, yeah, only a German could pronounce this. So good.
I loved every minute of that.
Falador.
Yes.
Which seems like a very German
It does.
name.
No, it totally sounds like he would be a Germanic inspired bounty hunter. Like if I didn't have the visual reference of the ship, I might have gone in a Hitler Youth kind of direction.
World War II.
You could do anything when it comes to sci-fi.
No,
so
it's so
Very
true.
Sucker Punch-esque.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. I love that movie. I know a lot of people didn't like that movie, but I thought it was great.
I loved that movie.
I thought this makeup was really interesting. When they were working on the cowl, all I saw was Katie making this cowl that had an awful lot of rolls in its head.
I was a little worried.
I was like, what is happening here? And then the
It
cowl
looked a little Michelin Man.
but then it looked really different when it was done. It was a lot littler than I thought.
I was actually really afraid of the paint job because it was really orange.
It was
and I
really
was
orange.
I don't know how I feel about this. I really hope it's not going to look like a giant orange blob, you know?
Yeah.
But it didn't. It looked. There was enough contrast in it. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
Well, Robert even saying when he's like, Katie's very confident in this. I just have to step back. And then the next cut is him being like, I don't know if I like this.
I know.
I felt really bad.
It's like you step back for like a second. And
It was interesting because I think, and I mean, we'll get into this more when we talk about some of the other makeups, but I think some of what was highlighted immediately in this episode was a couple of the contestants don't seem to play well with others.
Which is gonna be a problem, kind of a little bit.
We even saw a little bit with this when Katie started freaking
That's
out when he
what
was
I'm
attaching
saying.
the mandibles with the latex and cotton.
That was kind of weird for me. I don't want to like sound like a negative Nelly, but like it kind of threw me off because other seasons they're usually like kind of like, oh okay, whatever, just do you. But she was like, oh my god, what the bleep are you doing? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like definitely in past seasons we've seen contestants have disagreements, but I feel like they were like real adamant about their disagreements in this episode.
Just like
Very
straight out
vocal.
the gate. I'm like, it's episode 1, guys. You don't even know each other yet.
right?
You're like, what are you doing, you crazy German man? And it's like, oh, but then it cuts to her and she's like, I mean, I don't know what I was doing, but it worked great. I've never done that.
I was like, I don't know what's happening.
But I guess, you know, in some ways it almost makes more sense for them to be really aggressive right out of the gate because going home on episode 1 sucks.
It does. I completely
They're all
agree
hungry.
with you.
They want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I like seeing that passion.
No,
Yeah,
it was great.
absolutely.
And it was just, but it also makes sense to a T also because the fact that they're literally like, okay, hi, Mackenzie. Also, here you go into a challenge.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
You can see how Katie especially, you know, you can see the stress coming in when she's
Yes.
working.
Yeah.
But then it's her interviees and she's just like, it's fine.
Yeah. No,
she's a delightful person.
Yeah,
She's
she's
a
obviously
delightful
extremely talented, and both of them are very talented and ultimately put together a very nice cohesive makeup.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting to see those moments of tension.
I loved seeing her get starstruck over Michael Westmore.
Oh,
that was
so
cute.
great.
I love seeing the contestants geek out.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of reminds you how big the stakes are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, I thought that was so cool. I love seeing when, especially Katie, I'm just excited to see more from her because she's just so elated by everything.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be fun. I think this whole group is gonna be more expressive than most of the ones that we've seen so far.
I just want to be friends with Robert.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I just want him to just talk.
Yeah.
Just read stuff. You can just read ingredients off the back of a box. I'll be okay.
I want to
with
go
it.
to Oktoberfest with Robert.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even make it halfway through the day. I'll just be passed out somewhere because it'd be like, try this and then try this and try this, and I'll just be like, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I liked their makeup though. It ended up being very ant-like.
It did.
Yes.
It was basically a big
pinchers.
ant-man, with his mandibles, which,
Yes.
you know, it made sense that it was a safe makeup. I didn't think that it was bad, but I
didn't think
feel
it was...
like, considering Katie, her big thing was she was saying, oh, I've never done a cowl of this size, but I want to do everything bigger and better, and it's face-off. I could see that in the future, I think that they're going to keep going and pushing the limits a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one scenario wherein they took a risk. SS Lovebird in the chat said that it had a busy design. Like there was a lot going on with that design. And Michaela says she was also worried about how orange it was. What could have ultimately been extremely problematic was fine.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a bad makeup. It was a good makeup. It just didn't have that wow factor because it just wasn't quite as organic and complete, I think, as it ultimately could have been.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It was a solid makeup, but it had room for growth.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That I think would have been alleviated somewhat if they had worked together
A little bit better.
a little
Yeah.
bit better
Yeah.
instead of doubting each other. But overall, still
The first
good
episode,
work.
we'll get there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've already established we love both of them. So
Oh yeah,
Yay,
absolutely.
Katie and Robert.
Yep.
Jennifer and Mel also had a pretty solid design with their Delta Indumna.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
liked the paint job on this one a little bit. Oh, I just lost my note.
I
but
liked,
yeah.
it looked very lobster-like, though.
It did kind of look a little lobster. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I can
looked
see
like
that.
Predator mixed with a
With
lobster.
a lobster, yeah, definitely a little bit of a Predator thing going on with the sort of
weird
tentacle
dreads.
hair dreads, which ultimately, when they were trying to make them out of that like heavy tubing, I was like, this is not gonna work, you guys. And then, lo and behold, in comes Jennifer with the solution right away with the quilting batting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That she covers with the latex skin and makes. But I love too that she says, "Well, how I've done it in the past is I do this." And I'm like, this is just something you've done in the past. Like, that's just, you're such a cool person.
Well, I mean, her background is in costuming. You know, she's in the 501st. And
which makes me love her, too.
Yeah, she makes Star Wars costumes all the time.
Like, with our Star Wars. We clearly hate Star Wars.
And, you know, to be in any of those Star Wars organizations, 501st, Jedi
has to be screen accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
Within 10 feet.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I also liked the fact that also with this season, or at least with this first episode, that a lot of them had their own little, like, not skills, but their own little unique things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That they pointed out a lot in this episode.
Well, and when she sewed those dreads into the cowl, I was like, what is she using to sew them? Like dental floss?
I loved it.
That was
But
great.
I loved how great they worked together.
Yes,
they were each other's cheerleader the whole time.
They were.
And Mel's like, you're literally saving the day right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, it was funny. When I saw this makeup completed on stage, I wrote down, you know what? I like it, but I think this is a safe look.
Yes, I also agree.
It was one that I feel, and it was a very solid makeup
Very
for
solid.
First episode, for first challenge.
Yeah.
It showed both of these contestants really have a lot to bring to the table.
And good problem-solving skills. I think that ultimately, you know, and I think ultimately that's going to take them very far in this competition. I think what would have pushed this makeup over the edge into being a top look is if it just had some more interesting structure facially.
Yeah, because it seemed pretty plain, at least up in the front, and then everything was in the back, and then it didn't help because it kind of looked like their model was wearing like a jumpsuit, like a tracksuit.
A little bit,
and I was kind of like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah, some of the styling was a little odd.
I wanted to see some more angles in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and again, the face was good. It was anatomically justified. This was a good makeup.
Yeah.
You know, if there were 3 looks in the top looks, this would have definitely been a contender.
I agree. Yeah.
But it's the difference between Groot and someone in the cantina scene.
There you go.
Like, you
There
know,
you go.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
it's
the
like,
correct way.
I can look at you throughout the whole movie. I can be brought in and entertained.
Yeah.
And I feel like their lobster creature was very, very good, but it was a secondary creature.
Yes.
And this needs to be a movie about the bounty hunter.
Yeah,
Not just,
Exactly. He needs
There's
to stand out
also
on
that
his
character.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like a background character more than his own movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
And according to SS Lovebird, he looked like Bob Marley.
Oh my God! I didn't even think about that. You know what? Yeah, if they made him
Extra points for your Rasta lobster. I like it.
Rasta lobster.
Hashtag Rasta lobster.
No, it's Rasta lobster.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Rasta
Maine.
lobster.
Yeah, leave off they don't pronounce their R's in Maine, and
Yeah.
that's that's the lobster state.
Instead of rock lobster, it'd be Rasta lobster.
Yeah.
Guys, we gotta.
The B-52s were close, but no face-off.
Nope.
No
New
tubing.
name for a band, guys. I'm gonna be Rasta Lobster.
Rasta lobster.
It's gonna
We
be
are
great.
Rasta lobster.
That is
Thanks,
so
Wisconsin. Okay, anyway.
Thank you, Maine. So
Lord
I
mercy.
do think that the third makeup that was safe, I'm going to disagree with the judges from the very first episode.
Okay.
I think it should have been a top look. I think Rob, and you guys are going to have to help me with the pronunciation.
Oh God.
Wait, you don't pronounce the N. Jirogi.
Jirogi.
Or Jirogi.
Something else. One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jirogi.
I think it's Jirogi.
I think it's
Jirogi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jirogi and Rob, though, with
Sorry,
their
Jirogi.
Sensar Septis,
Yes.
which is another name that I
I
cannot
love it 'cause
say.
Yeah,
Theirs was like-
Sensar Septis.
Theirs was like really nothing there. It was
That
just
sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
It does sound like a Harry Potter spell.
It does. All these names kind of sound like Harry Potter spells.
Todo
Good makeup, make it.
I love their description because it was just believed to have a hideout in the Ethe Nebula. That was it, and I was like,
love it.
okay, that's helpful.
I'm actually gonna give it, in terms of this makeup, a lot of credit to the model, and it's not just because I'm friends with her, but Megan was their model. She's the little blonde girl. She's adorable. She's a lovely human being. And she really sold this makeup.
Like, yes, I liked this because I can see this in a Mass Effect video game,
totally,
or a Destiny video game. I thought it was great.
I think for me, I saw the idea behind this more than I saw it in the makeup that they did, because I agree with V. The beak looked awesome, but it didn't feel like it was part of the makeup. What I wrote down was, the mouth looks weird under the beak, and then I realized that it was just that the beak looked weird on the face.
Yeah, the face I felt like it was a little too wide. I feel like that they slendered it out a little bit, slimmed it out. It just felt really bulky, and then the beak was really
incorporated it a little more. Yeah,
and it was like, I mean, I know how beaks are supposed to look like shiny and kind of have its own texture, which it looked really good. But the rest of the face didn't. The texture of the face didn't match with the beak. It looked really off. It didn't.
It looked great from the side.
It did. No, the profile was wonderful.
Oh man, those feathers were amazing.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. And like, I am dying to try out that. I'm gonna turn on a humidifier and try steaming some feathers. Like, you know what I mean?
That was like really cool.
Yeah. The one thing that I will take from that was that I had an arts and crafts teacher back in, like, I don't even know what grade, and she's like, "Oh, if you want your feathers to look better, you got to put them underneath some steam." And I was like, "That's weird. I don't know what you mean by that." But I think it's like kind of like fabric, so you kind of have to do that to get the wrinkles out. Like,
fluff it up.
That's awesome.
Just like that. I want a shirt that says "fluff it up" and have
Steam
feathers.
your birds.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting, and I hope that people can take from that and learn from other stuff.
I love too that when they were talking to each other to come up with the whole concept too, Rob asked, "How old should she be? Like 30s max?" Like that
was a really
important question.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and they worked so well together. It was so lovely to see them working together.
Really good.
I have to say, it cracked me up when oh no, it wasn't them. It was Robert's. There's too many.
They all have very similar names this season.
And a Melissa,
exactly.
a Rob, and a Robert. I was like, oh Lord of mercy.
Yeah.
I wonder if Rob and Robert had like behind the scene duke it out for who got their full name.
Yeah.
And Robert's just like, "I'm German, I take it."
Yeah. Like, you see, like that guy would be like, "No,
it's mine.
It's mine."
But Rob, I thought, they were way ahead of the game. The very first day, they were already molding. And they're like, we're the only ones here molding, while other people were having to start their whole makeups over.
That was rough.
I mean, I gotta say, props to those guys for coming up with a clear concept and really executing it well, and then having enough time to individually airbrush each of those feathers.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was cool.
That's impressive.
I know that he felt bad because he was like, "Oh man, this is gonna take forever," but it looked so.
It did.
Good.
It was 100% worth it.
Yeah.
And again, it was so nice to see the two of them collaborate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were one of the better groups that just meshed really well, because I felt like a lot of people were either back and forth or the communication was really off. So
yeah, totally.
I really liked that.
And it was also really nice to see that, okay, we have this group and they're like really on schedule, they're ahead of time, and they're not stressed out about anything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't backfire on them. They didn't do a boring makeup.
No.
They weren't bottom looks. They did well.
They did a good makeup.
With a little bit of tweaking, this could have easily been a top look.
Yeah,
yes.
Straight up.
Easily.
Very much so. I personally think it should have been a top look.
Yeah.
But, however, we did have a couple top looks.
Yes, we did.
Caleb and Walter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so good.
The Mass Rossi. That was their gladiator-esque with the water drip resin horns and
so cool.
It was cool.
It was really cool. That was a really cool look that they were able to pull off.
Yeah. I like that they incorporated the like cybernetic eye
that was
too.
Really nice.
That was the big thing for me that I thought was so cool. Was having something that lit up.
And it wasn't too gaudy either. I really liked that. It was really simple and sleek.
It felt like it was really in there, and part of it felt like that was his eye.
Yeah.
Yes.
It didn't feel like, oh, you stuck something over his eye to make it seem like he had a cybernetic eye.
I also thought that it was really clever of them to realize how much they could feasibly accomplish and say, we have one light in the horn, but we're not going to have enough time to put the LED lights in all of them.
Yeah.
Let's pull it and just have that one red light.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally am partial to anything that lights up. I think that this one should have won because
Shiny
it
things
lights
for
up.
Alana, guys. Just shiny things
Yeah,
and things
I
that light up
kinda-
and glitter.
I'm like a fish.
Yeah. No, I feel like
Stories.
with the top looks, it could have gone either way, and I would have understood the judge's choice.
Yes.
I did also like the problem solving that we saw with this group, where they realized that they had made the cowl too big
Yes.
for their
Yes,
model.
yes, yes.
And Caleb was like, I just grabbed cotton, I just started stuffing it.
Yeah, and then they were asking their model, how does that feel? Is that comfortable?
Yeah, and he's like, that actually is pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, if you go back to like the early days of special effects makeup, the majority of the makeup that Jack Pierce was doing in the early Universal monster films was being done with cotton. Like, he didn't make latex pieces.
Nope.
He did, especially, in the first Frankenstein movie for, Frankenstein's monster, he did that 100% from scratch every single day by basically just like gluing cotton all over Boris Karloff's face to like give it that shape, and then using sort of an early latex substitute called like collodion like over it and painting it. So cotton's really useful is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Cotton is just as good as duct tape. I feel like those two are like the universal
the
tools
fabric
of
of our
life.
lives.
Hey man, I mean, I like that people can use cotton for texture too on makeup as well. So I think that's really awesome. So I really like that. That's again with this episode, it was really showing people's like talents for problem solving with little things that they picked up either in school or on their own or whatever.
Yeah,
I loved it.
I love too that they point out, Michael Westmore points out that the chin's looking a little Jay Leno.
Oh,
So they went in, and then that was one of the comments was like, the strong chin lets us know that it's a bounty hunter. And I'm like, so does that mean Jay Leno's a bounty hunter?
Yeah.
no.
No.
Honey Bunch is a no.
But the judges, they really liked that, and also, of course, the scar on the lip,
Yes.
which Michaela in the chat is saying she thought was really well done, and I totally agree.
Yeah, I liked that it wasn't just the typical.
But yeah,
scar
this like alien to me, I definitely feel like we could have encountered in like Guardians.
Hell yeah, it would be great.
Yeah.
Again, it lights up, so it wins my heart. But I feel like this one was, to me, the clear winner. It did look a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But I'm okay with that.
But
I also thought that it looked like it could have been in Ninja Turtles.
It looked a little bit Ninja Turtles, but in the best possible way.
Absolutely. No, I don't mean that in a bad way at all.
Shredder turtle hybrid.
Right.
It would be that
see
guy.
it. I
It would
could
be
see that.
would be mass right there. It was just,
That would be great.
I wish I would
man.
watch that movie.
I would, all of my money. Michael Bay, get out of there.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
I'm like, that's a movie Michael Bay can't ruin for me.
No, you would ruin it, and I would hate it forever. So no. But yeah.
Shout out to former Face Off contestants that I know are fans. Looking at you, Adam, who loves Michael Bay.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll call you out. But the winners were Anna and Melissa.
Yeah.
Heck yes.
Oh my god, I
They're
loved
Tolo Ezulan, which is another Harry Potter spell.
That's what I was saying.
I just love both of them.
Oh,
so much.
great.
Because I think they might have been the first group to get their like little intro stories.
No, they
and
were.
Just both of them, amazing.
Heart-wrenching and amazing. I loved it.
They're both just awesome, and they really worked well together.
They did.
And they both really created, because another big thing that we found in this episode where people were making great things, they just weren't cohesive.
Yeah.
And they made sure that every piece they did fit with each other's work.
Exactly. And they also were really good about bringing some of the ship design into the character.
Yes.
I think of all of the groups, they incorporated the ship and the character together the best, and ultimately that's why they won. Also, of course, the incredible structural job that Melissa did on the cowl.
Cowl was just fantastic, and I love that.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Glenn and V were the ones that were like, "Oh my god, I've never seen anything that looked like this." I really like all the little phonetics that went into it. But I feel like they just had a really good balance with everything, because I think some people were like, "Let's really make it look like the ship," and then, "Oh no, let's really make it look like an alien that maybe looks like should be on the ship." But they just, I don't know what it was. It was magic.
Yeah. And then did you guys catch that Anna learned from Anthony Kozar?
Yes. Yeah.
I was like,
Chose artifacts.
Yeah.
I was like,
I see you.
Which I love too, that anytime they use the vacuform and they make something really cool
so
with
cool.
it, using the like little half circles and then the L200 to make the fit. Oh,
Yeah, no, the
So
armor
cool.
the armor fabrication on this was really neat.
good.
It was so good, which, that in itself is a feat.
Yeah.
And then to do an amazing cowl, a
Right.
complete makeup with full armor.
It was really good. And I love the way that they incorporated the orange stripes from the ship,
Yes.
but it was done
Yes.
so it was just done in
Subtly.
it was done
very
in such
subtle.
it was very
Yeah.
subtle, but it wasn't so subtle that you didn't get it. It was just enough that you're like, I got it.
Yeah. It was so good. And I love that they also had issues with it where it was lifting.
Yeah.
And then to camouflage it, they just painted darker underneath it and reattached.
Yeah.
And they made it look even cooler.
Yeah, I
It was
couldn't
much more
even tell.
dense. I would have never known that
Yeah.
they had problems with
And
it.
they had both amazing attitudes throughout the whole
Yes,
thing.
they really did.
Yeah.
Where, the shirt contrast of, I understand the stress and how difficult
Sure,
that situation
yeah,
can
of
be.
course.
But having somebody come in on the second day and go, oh, it's weird when you step away from it and then you come back the next day and you go, oh, it looks so good.
Yeah.
Like, I love hearing that. I love seeing contestants who have pride in their work throughout, who know that they have made a good decision right out of the very
I
start
agree.
of it, right out of the gate,
Yeah.
and then stick to it.
Yeah.
And I love that they, because they make their armor pieces, but we've seen throughout they don't necessarily, they get an idea for the clothes, but they don't pick the actual
yeah.
costuming,
Right,
just like it
right.
would be in a movie where
Right.
there'd be a costumer and the makeup artist having to work together.
Yep.
And I love that they took the time that they even say we distressed the clothes that we got. Like we got these clothes, but we also didn't just say, okay, well this is set. We incorporated it in with our look and even altered the clothes that we were given.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool on the first challenge to not feel intimidated by.
Yeah, to step up and go, because, it's something that we've talked about on this show a lot, that, you can get all the advice and assistance and whatever that you want, but ultimately you are responsible for what you put out on stage.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's deciding whether or not you're going home. And they just took full responsibility for this entire creature from concept to, final execution.
They owned it.
They did.
They did.
And then Melissa owned the first title of winner.
Congratulations,
Congrats, Melissa. Very well earned.
Yeah, I really like her.
And I need a sword like that.
Oh,
please.
man, that sword was good.
I think it was awesome.
Sword was
Oh,
so good.
great.
That
I'm
is
just
my
really
weapon of
excited to
choice.
see what other things they have in store since they did so well on this first
I
challenge.
totally agree.
I think that
I
they're
totally
going to
Set
agree.
the
shine.
bar really high for
did.
themselves.
I know.
But I also think that we're going to see a lot of things that we didn't see in this episode that will just take us aback. That's what I'm seeing so far, and I think it's going to be great. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still think that anything that lights up should win automatically.
This is why Elena's not one of the judges.
This is why I just dress like Mackenzie and I'm not actually on the show. And they keep me far away from everyone. So unfortunately, we did have a couple looks that weren't able to fully come together the way that the contestants would have liked. And we've been talking about how important teamwork is and how important these contestants working together. Johnny and Ant.
Oh man, that was rough.
man.
You know
fell
what's
apart.
really funny is that initially, I wrote down the quote from Johnny.
Yeah.
Initially, he said, let's be realistic about the fact that this sucks right now. And at first, I was like, I like how straightforward he is. And then as the episode went on, I was like, no, he's just kind of a dick.
No, like for real. I was kind of like, this is. I mean, I know that we've had some negative contestants on the show and stuff, but like, it really showed that he was having a terrible time this episode.
He did not seem to be enjoying himself at all.
At all.
Yeah.
And he had like a weird mix of being insecure about certain things, but very overconfident about
other
others.
things.
I couldn't tell like what he wanted right now.
I'm
and
doing
I was,
the application. I'm better at it. I'm doing it.
And I
All
was kinda
right.
like,
Well,
no.
nobody's
Just
telling you not
I
to.
think he's just a bad communicator.
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there's something that was left on the editing floor that maybe we didn't see, but like just from what I was being portrayed with, it just seemed like he was like, I want to do all these things, but I don't want to seem like a jerk, so I'll let you do a little. No, you're doing it wrong. And I was kind of like, what is happening?
But I did like that
rough.
Yorick Jess was this badass girl, feminine bounty hunter that's still.
Yeah.
Which I liked that on the design aspect, but it was really hard to tell that it was female
Yeah.
at all.
I
in their
know,
makeup.
and it was interesting because they had this good idea of incorporating these sails that were on the ship that looked very Asian, and she was wearing
guys.
samurai armor, and it just didn't.
I was really upset. those Asian-esque like those flags or fans or whatever on there were so beautiful, and I was like, just put it in your makeup somewhere.
Yeah, just make. I don't understand why they didn't make her like an alien Mulan or something. You know what I mean?
I would have taken like a cool, like weird Mass Effect geisha. I think that would have been even cool.
Yeah, that would have been incredible.
I would have, because there's this thing
Mass
that I saw.
Effect Geisha, new band name I called it.
Yeah,
Mass Effect
geisha. But like that's what I'm saying is that I've seen people who've done like go to cons and they do like these really cool steampunk geishas where they have like the full armor in the back and it's like very original and traditional geisha, but it's all in with a little bit of
sci-fi.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I thought that's what they were gonna go with, and it would have been really cool to see like kabuki warriors from like not kabuki. What am I thinking of? From Avatar.
Oh, the Kyoshi Warriors.
It's like seeing that, but in like a sci-fi kind of aspect. That's what I wanted.
Exactly what it should have been.
And I wanted, because like the
They
one,
could even keep it blue.
and it would have been totally fine. It just, I feel like they went in a weird route.
Was the ship blue? Because all I could see was how blue this makeup was.
Yeah, this makeup was very blue.
think so.
The eyes were very red. The teeth were very prominent.
Don't even talk to me about those red contact lenses.
Those things were awful.
Yeah.
God awful.
Well, it also, I mean, I understand how it can be nerve-wracking to come up with an idea and say, you know, you're making this very goat-like. I'm making mine very reptilian. They're not blending. But let's find it. And then having Michael Westmore come in and say, oh, the foundation of your makeup, these eyes, they don't make sense. They don't work. Scrap it.
But that's the thing is, I don't understand is they had so many different animals going into this one makeup.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird.
It's like pick one animal and roll with it.
Yeah, it's like he had a goat, and then he had, what was it? I'm sorry.
It was like a reptilian.
Yeah, like a reptilian.
Yeah, it
and
was
then
like
we
a
also had
lizard.
but then we also had spider eyes, and I was like, I feel like you guys don't know what animal you want.
Yeah,
It's
why
a
would you?
scorpion, which is the scorpion,
What
which is
scorpions
just a
don't look like that?
lobster and a bee
Yeah.
and
I was just
a
very
spider
wondering,
at once. So I feel like if Mother Nature can make this freak of nature
Why can't
creature,
you?
if the scorpion exists, I buy your lizard, goat, spider.
Yeah, but at the
My
same
Lord.
time, it's like if you're gonna go that route, then you gotta go all insect with a little bit of cephalopod or whatever lobsters
know.
are.
A little bit of
I
cephalopod.
get it. I was like, oh man, she's pulling out the big words today. But that's what I'm saying. It just
Cephalogoat.
it was just I think they were trying to make gumbo with the wrong ingredients on that one, and it didn't
agree.
work.
Their ship was just brown with red
And the-
flags.
and the-
That's
yeah,
what Michaela
I was
said.
like, where'd the blue come from?
And the top of that cowl was like,
it was so rough.
It was, well, Neville points out that the geometry of the face didn't make sense with the biology of the character, and that you can't go in and create something just for aesthetic reasons. It has to have some sort of anatomical basis.
And there wasn't.
And
No.
it
Like
wasn't.
at all.
no.
It was very much just like,
very muddled.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think for how unfocused it was, like, good God, Johnny, you're like Debbie Downer to the max.
Oh my God.
Ant's trying real hard.
It's hard to go from our winner last season, who's like this ball of energy, who was super positive and helped everybody out, to like this. I mean, I'm not saying that's just this one guy who's gonna ruin everything, but it was hard to see such negativity from like one contestant. You know, it was kind of weird.
I think it was mostly stress. I feel like,
Yeah, totally.
And I get that. You know,
and I know that it has to be probably rough too.
Oh yeah.
Seeing
You're away from
yourself
home.
portrayed, and
Yeah, he wanted to, I think a lot of people, at least for our bottom looks, I feel like they really wanted to put themselves into their stuff, but I mean, besides the fact of putting your own thing into it, you also got to learn to do teamwork.
Yeah, that's true.
Even when you're working in the industry, you're going to be working with somebody.
Well,
Yeah,
and you can
it
tell
is.
it kind of, I think it hurt Ant's feelings a little bit when they said, how'd you guys work together? And without hesitation, Johnny just goes, poorly.
Yeah,
And
I
you
was
see
like,
Ant's face where he's
whoa.
just kind of like, oh, I didn't think it was that
and
bad,
I like
bro.
that Ant at least tried to be like, I think we did, it wasn't the greatest thing, but I think we did okay. Like, like he was like trying to put some
I
positive
would have
spin
loved
on it.
though
Absolutely.
if Ant had made Katie and Robert's creature because it was so Ant-like.
It was, and it
And I
really
just would have been
funny.
like, is this your self-portrait? It's like right out.
Yeah.
So I just felt really bad for him because I know that he was at least trying, and I felt like, again, I don't know
agree.
Johnny personally. I just feel like there was a lot of just back and forth, and it felt like they were just hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
I liked Ant though. I think we'll see more.
I want to see more things from him.
Yeah, I think that both of them are talented
talented.
Yes.
I'm really glad that neither of them went home. I think it would have been a mistake to send
Yes.
either of them home right
agree.
now.
I agree.
And I'm just curious to see kind of where they go from here. Especially working with different people, working independently,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
But yeah, I have to agree with Michaela in the chat where the fins on the head were all jagged and misshapen. I didn't even notice that until
They were.
V showed showed the profile. I was like, oh,
Yeah, it was basically like Mr. Westmore said, put a fin on the top of the head, and they just threw some clay on it and went, all right.
And he actually literally just threw clay on it, and I was like, what are you doing? And he was just like pounding
Yeah.
away, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, guys. I've got a bad feeling about this. Like,
got
I
a
was like,
bad feeling
I'm
about
like,
this.
I'm worried.
It was like it wasn't fully finished. It was like they're like, let's just stick a fin in this. Hey! Sorry.
So done.
I apologize.
God dang it.
But it's true, though.
No, but no, I actually completely agree. I felt like there was just a lot of like, let's slap on
pun.
some, let's slap on some clay
Yeah.
and then maybe it'll work. Whatever. And I was just like, oh, it hurt my soul.
Yeah.
A little bit. But
Which
the next one was also
I have
really
to say,
rough.
considering that
Yikes.
this was the ultimate
words.
in these are two very talented people who just kind of missed the mark. I think that this was one they got way too in over their heads from day one.
Yeah.
But Greg and Vaughn, unfortunately, they're Jinx Barges, which is such a cool name.
It is
was
a cool
great
name.
For a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
But Michael Westmore, mentions it's kind of simian, and so Greg just rips the whole face off and starts over.
Is it weird that I didn't think he had to do
No.
that? I feel like he could have just worked with the thing that he already had.
I think it was a panic. I think it was a panic move. I think it was a panic strip.
He didnn't say to oh, I hate all of it.
No.
Get rid of it. He was just
Just-
like, oh, I just gotta,
This is my opinion of it.
Tweak these little parts, and Greg went, start over, he doesn't like it.
It's like when that guy just threw his cake in the bin on Great British Bake Off. It was terrible.
I mean,
Oh my god, I remember
what
that
this
episode.
was.
Holy crap, sorry.
This
I
was
just, all of that
the
started rushing
ceremonial
back.
throwing of the cake in the trash, and it didn't need.
so bad.
It wasn't trash cake, Greg. It was good.
It just needed adjusting.
Just a little bit, just tweaking.
Yeah.
That's what we were supposed to do.
And unlike a cake where once you've overbaked it, you're just screwed with makeup with clay. You have a chance to just remold it. It's clay.
that's it.
You can shape it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you guys remember doing that with Play-Doh? Like,
Yeah.
it's a thing.
But that has to be rough when Rob's in there, like, making his cast while Greg is scraping all of the
that was
clay off of.
That was rough. I was just like, what is happening? I felt like that was a little too far for him, and I think that's the thing that ruined him. And then when he did the new stuff, I was like, anyone else feel like it's a little blocky, a little
It was
square-ish?
super blocky. It
I was like,
was.
whoa.
It didn't go with the
No.
with
I was
the,
very
with
confused.
the
Vaughn
lopsided
even-
cowl at all.
Yeah. Well, she even
Okay,
points
so I'm
out
not the
it's
only one who
too
thought it was
late.
lopsided. I was like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm tired. It's kind of late. Maybe I don't know.
But I feel like in her defense, I think she was trying to save the cow while also trying to save
help
the
him,
rest.
yeah.
And this is what I was talking about earlier, where it's like people were trying to put themselves into their pieces. These were two separate pieces, and you
Yeah.
could see it, not because of the fact that their edges were so thick, like
Right.
actually looking at the style. was-
Yeah, they had a rough foam run on that for
Yeah,
sure.
you could see. Well, yeah, they had the really thick edges that they had
Yeah.
to worry about trying to fix that didn't work.
Yeah, watching her cut her like the rest of that excess, I was like, oh my god,
it was a lot.
I was like, whoa.
I liked the copper that they added. I thought that was a
thought that was
cool little effect.
Yeah.
Having, a little bit of metallic thrown in to break up the makeup and
Yeah, and I feel like the paint job wasn't awful.
no,
that was hard
but
for me just to listen to you say
the
that.
way
but
that
yeah.
Neville described it was he even said be decisive.
Yeah.
And the paint job seemed like it was one that they were making up as they were going along.
Yeah.
It literally seemed like they were like, okay, let's see if this works.
Yeah.
It seemed like if it was a song, it would be one that didn't rhyme, that somebody was just trying to find the melody. And it's like me when I play Rock Band, and you just hit like a couple notes, but it's not a full.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was.
I felt bad because I was like, man, I know you guys can do better than this. I can see it.
I know.
can see it. You guys have hit that point and you're like, oh, we're done. I'm like, no. Just do a little bit longer. Just a little bit more tweaking.
But
And,
I do like that they tried to save it with a story, but then were called out for the story where they're like, is it organic? Is it robotic?
I
felt
it's
so
organic
bad for
with
them on that
nanobots.
But the judges were right. They were totally fair in asking that because I was thinking the exact same thing.
But then to have them flat out say, and then they're nanobots, what is that? That's nothing.
Yeah, they're like, that's lazy writing.
You're like, oh, yowza.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy because I was like, nanobots don't really do anything on that aspect. But I saw what you were trying to do. Yeah, I felt like there was just a lot of panicking involved, even with the story
It was
and
the
everything.
midi-chlorians.
Yeah, it was the midi-chlorians, exactly.
Embodied.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like there were nanobots in Metal Gear Solid 2. Those people still look like human beings.
That's what I was saying. I was like, come on, guys.
The way that I described it in my notes was a square-nosed Cyberman stormtrooper.
Yes.
Which, if a Cyberman and a stormtrooper had a baby,
Oh no, I don't even want to put those two together.
and the baby was a little bit lame and was a little square.
Oh my god!
It was it was kind of square.
Cyberman stormtrooper with like a dash of the diva from Fifth
Fifth
Element in the
that's what I was thinking with the cowl.
But her head's a lot straighter.
Yeah, well, no, I was like, I'm sorry, that cowl was working for our diva in Fifth Element, but this one was just kind of like,
Unfortunately, it did not work for Greg.
No, did not.
Mostly Greg, who I think knew from day one that was his
that was his
last
send off.
run.
Well, and ultimately, it's like the only thing he made was this weird square nose.
Well, that's what they even said, was they were like, you contributed the two parts we liked the least.
And but it was true.
You're like, ugh.
You're like, bye.
But the biggest, I think, just F you send-off was saying, well, the one thing that we know for certain is that
Oh my god.
the best of you is yet to be seen. And you're like, that is such a backhanded compliment where you're like, you're on the show because you're talented. Why'd
But
you
we're
do
kicking
this?
you off the show.
Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
I was telling Emma, but like before we got into the studio, I was just like, whoa, the sass level has reached over 9,000 on that one. Oh my god, that really hurt.
Yeah.
That really hurt for the
Especially
first
because
episode.
To say your best is yet to be seen, also we'll never see it. Pack up all of your stuff.
That's why
Goodbye
I was like,
forever.
I was like, okay, all right, okay, I'm gonna just.
Whatever, Greg. I'm gonna follow you on Instagram and I'm gonna look at all your stuff because I bet it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, every single time that a person gets eliminated from the show, I always try to keep up with them, see what they're working with, all that great stuff. And so I don't think this will be the last time we see Greg. I know that he's one of the youngins because a lot of these guys are pretty young this time around, which I was like, whoa, we got a lot of mid-20s up in here. Good for you.
Oh my gosh. Was Caleb, right, who graduated a week prior.
And then just came on out
went
here.
straight
I was
from
like,
cinema
whoa.
makeup school and was like, now I'm on Face Off.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey,
Yeah.
that's great. I want to see, this is like fresh material, for him. So I think it's going to be great. But
Started off face painting with his mom.
And young and Rob, not Robert, but Rob
What's his
also
name,
like
Rob
just
Seal?
graduated from cinema makeup school.
Yeah. A lot of these
there's
guys are like,
it's such an interesting mix this season of like people who are very seasoned, like mid 30s to mid late 40s, and then like 20-year-olds.
Yeah, like there's a whole giant group of them. Like there's a cluster of mid 20-year-olds, and you're like, whoa, awesome. And I'm super excited for them because I want to see the new stuff that people.
And I feel like if Emily taught us anything, it's that age doesn't matter.
It does not.
It's just about the talent.
I love her so much, Emily. I love you so much.
So good.
Yeah.
I am super excited about all of these new contestants.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And I've been itching for some Face Off.
I know.
Yeah,
it came back so quickly.
Yeah, it was so funny. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, I forgot how much I like this show.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So good. And I think this season is going to be a really, really good one. They've got some cool stuff.
I am so afraid for them prior to the fact of as an audience member, it's going to be so great. All the stuff that I was seeing and like the little, not the intros, but you know what I mean? Like the stuff for after, I was like, whoa.
World of Warcraft.
I was like,
Skull Island.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm excited about all of these.
These challenges are going to be crazy.
They're bringing back the gauntlet too.
I mean, I think that's just going to be a thing from now on, but it's just going to get even worse. And you're just going to be like, I'm going to pull out all my hair. That's what's going to end up happening.
And then I'm going to glue it to my model and hope that it works out. So, pretty early on, but do you guys have any front runners that you're really, really excited to see more from?
Melissa, for sure, who won this challenge. Yeah. Also Anna, because I just really liked both of them a lot.
I want to see more from Ant.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see
Yeah.
too much of that. I want to see more from him.
Yeah. I think Caleb is young, but I think he's really talented.
I love Caleb.
He's a good problem solver. I like that.
He's very clever.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Clever girl. But yeah, no, I think mine's gonna definitely be Rob, Ant, Caleb, and Melissa and Anna. Like I think that's it.
And Robert.
Robert and Katie.
I need more Robert.
Yeah, I just want Robert in my life all the time, buddy. Looking out to you.
Robert and Katie, both of them,
I'm
amazing.
I think this whole group is going to really show some pretty crazy crap.
Yep.
I'm really excited. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to jump into any predictions for next week?
There it is. I was like, dear, it's
the studio doesn't seem to think we do.
Predictions.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, as I watched the press screener, so I didn't see the trailer for next week. All I've seen is the teaser for what the whole season.
Yeah, I didn't see anything
That's all they
either.
have for us. They haven't given us.
There wasn't a trailer.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe there was after the broadcast, but I didn't watch that. I think I kind of covered it in who I think are my front runners for right now. I just can't wait for Lois to come back. I just want Lois on
when they
every
showed
episode
her.
all the time.
Yeah.
And Pee-wee Herman is going to be
That was kind of weird. I was
making an appearance.
Yep.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Get out of here. I think this season, I mean, they always say this season's going to be better than the last, or it's going to be crazier. I actually think it's going to be crazier this time around. From looking at the stuff that they have decided, I mean, I think there was one time where Mackenzie was wearing a wetsuit or something, and I was like, what's happening there? Are we going to have
Twist.
Yeah, I was like,
You're going to be constructing your makeup underwater.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, okay, this is it. This is it for Face Off. I can't do it anymore. That was too epic for me. But I think it's going to be really good this season.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Also, Mackenzie in a wetsuit. Hubba hubba.
Mackenzie in anything.
Well, I know, but just specifically
you win.
wetsuit. I'm like, yeah,
You win,
fantasy's
Westmores.
done. I can go home now.
Well, definitely tweet us. Let us know which of the contestants are your favorites. Where can we find you guys?
You can find me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. That is my name. You can see me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz TV, including Agent Carter, which is coming back next week, Star Wars Rebels, which is coming back next week, Bob's Burgers, which is coming back technically next week, but it's Sunday of next week. So it's kind of this week, kind of next week, depending on how you count your weeks. Follow me on social media. You'll know everything I'm doing because I tweet way too much.
You guys can follow me at atorres890. Again, I also practically live here at AfterBuzz because I work here. So you'll find me as the voice of the chat or the booth or something of that nature. I also do Castle. Supernatural's coming back soon. I have Mysteries of Laura that's also the same day as Face Off. And then Bob's Burgers with this lady and this lady. It's going to be great.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan. That's ALANAJORDAN, and on Instagram at that Alana Jordan girl. And while you guys are checking us out on AfterBuzzTV.com or also on YouTube, iTunes, be sure to subscribe, rate, give us those 5 stars, those thumbs up, and keep the chat going. Tweet at us using that hashtag ABTVFaceOff. We'll see you guys next week. Bye guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.